I received a PM yesterday from somebody who I would consider one of my best friends on this site. And in that PM, they asked me a question, and it was a very good question. Let me just read out the relevant part of the PM. Okay, at first it seems very straightforward. It says, how and when did you start to realize you were atheist? Okay? But then the person in question clarifies. They say, I'm not presuming that you started out as embracing your parents' religion, you're paraphrasing here. But the question is really about identifying yourself as an atheist. And that's where it got very interesting, I thought. It says, was there a time where you didn't classify where I didn't classify myself as such, didn't give it much thought, and then what brought on the self-classification? What caused me to at one point decide for myself that I would call myself an atheist? And that's why it's such a good question. So, let me first of all explain a little bit about my background, right? I was born and raised into a family that was nominally Catholic. And I did go to a Catholic primary school, I even went to a Catholic secondary school. But I did grow up in Holland, and in Holland religion has very much moved into the background, and that was very much true for my family as well, even though we were in name Catholic and we did go through the basic milestones that a Catholic goes through. So I did do my first communion, I did do my confirmation and so on. Other than that, religion played almost no role in my upbringing. We certainly weren't presented with a lot of religion in our family. We certainly didn't spend a lot of time praying or anything like that. And in all fairness, when I was growing up, I certainly tried, of course, to feel like I was part of the whole Catholic thing insofar as it was brought to my attention when, for example, in school we had to prepare for First Communion and things like that. And the problem with me has always been that I was looking at the beliefs that we were told to believe in, the things that we were told were true, and the things that we were told we should believe in, and none of it made sense to me whatsoever. So I have always had this strange relationship with the religion that I was supposed to be a member of. Always. I have no memory whatsoever of ever really believing in the existence of a God. So ultimately, the point at which I realized that I was in no way unique, and when I realized that there was such a thing as a term, a word that people used to mean people such as me who didn't believe in gods, was about when I was 11 years old. I became aware of the word atheist, and I realized after coming to grips with what that word stood for, that word actually applied to me, so I could call myself an atheist. But having said that, did I then proceed to self-identify as an atheist? And that is again where the question as posed is very, very relevant and very important and needs answering. Because the answer to that would really be no. I did not really self-identify as an atheist. Technically, of course I was, because an atheist is somebody who doesn't believe in gods. So I was an atheist. But I never felt any real need to stand up and, proclaim to the world, or whatever you want to call it, that I was an atheist. I would never felt the need to say like, hey, look at me, I am an atheist. And the reason for that, I think, again, is in the whole environment that I was in. In Holland at the time, I was part of a group of friends in which religion never was raised in any way, shape or form. In any of my dealings with other people, religion was never raised in any way, shape or form. Of course you are aware of the fact that there are Christians around you. Of course there is such a thing as a mini Bible Belt in Holland. And you hear stories about the people who live there and how strict they are. But it never was something that I was really concerned with in any way, and it was never something that bothered me, and never something that I really spent an awful lot of time thinking about. So what caused me then to eventually turn that corner, so to speak, and feel that I needed to stand up and actually stand up and say like, take note of me, I am an atheist. And the reason for that kind of slowly creeped in. But every now and again I would observe people making snide remarks about people such as atheists, people who didn't share their beliefs. So for example, one of our school trips, just one example of this, on one of our school trips we went to Rome. That was one of the big things at our school. Remember, again, a secondary school that was of a Catholic ethos. So one of the big things was, in 5th class, age 17, we would go to Rome. So we went to Rome, and at one point we were just talking and religion did come up. And of course the teachers who were accompanying us were, like, one was a religion teacher, the other one taught Latin, so on and so forth. And it was remarked that, these people are, it's the center of Catholicism and a lot of devout people go there, and I remarked that I didn't believe in any gods. And I was just like, so what? I don't believe in any gods. And this man proceeded to tell me how sorry he was for me. And that is the sort of attitude that eventually started grating on me, because what's there to feel sorry about? I don't feel in any way sad or deprived or like I have lost something or I'm missing something in my life. I have no sense whatsoever that there is some sort of great hole in my life that needs to be filled. So what are you sorry for? What are you feeling sorry for? This is me thinking about this man's reaction. And how condescending is that? To talk to me like that. As if your perspective on life should be valid for me. And it's that sort of thing that started to slowly but steadily annoy me more and more. And then I became aware of situations in which people who are non-believers are actually actively discriminated against. For example, in the United States, where if it becomes known that you are an atheist or that you do not believe in any gods, then your future prospects can be severely curtailed. People will deny you jobs. You have no chance whatsoever for running for office in any way, shape or form, and so on and so forth. And as that, as I started hearing more and more about situations like that, as I started hearing more and more about those sort of things happening to non-believers such as me, that's when I started realizing I've been leading a very kind of, protected existence, a very cushy little life, where, to me, for whatever reason, it has never been a problem. But there are other people who are in the same position as me and who don't believe in any gods, and who are feeling this discrimination, who are being targeted by this sort of discrimination. And as I started realizing how widespread that was, the more I started noticing people dismissing non-belief and making harsh assumptions, judgments, and condemning people who don't believe in the same things that they believe in. And the more I heard that, the less tolerable I found it, until eventually I decided maybe it is time that people such as me don't just stay under the radar, keep their heads down, and plod on in life, blissfully pretending that everything's hunky-dory, because really it isn't. And that's when I decided that I should stand up and self-identify as an atheist. I find it comical, really, to see how many people are harping on about rationalism and, what atheism gives them. That is nonsensical. Yes, of course, within the context of the simple fact that I do not believe in any gods, I have to construct for myself a purpose for my life. I have to construct for myself a worldview that allows me to be happy within the context of not believing in any gods. And certainly I've done so, and not only have I done so, it is something that I am very happy with, that I could even recommend to other people. So if there's anybody out there who, for example, feels like they've lost their faith, and who feel that they're wandering around aimlessly, they don't know where to go, where to turn to, and where to get any sort of solace from, any sort of purpose to their lives. In that case, if you've already decided that believing in gods isn't for you, and that is something once you've reached that point, it's something you can't really turn back from. Once you've dropped such beliefs, there is really no reclaiming them. And in that case, you can either feel lost, feel alone, and feel threatened, or you can start listening to people who have been there and who have found the solutions to these problems, like Epicurus, for example, and many other people. So in that case, I'll be very happy to help, of course. But for me personally, it has always been about, rights and equal rights, and the fact that what a person does or doesn't believe in should not matter. And noticing the discrimination, noticing the condemnation, and wanting to stand up for people like me. And demanding that we should be treated with the same courtesy, at the very least, as anybody else, whether they be Christian, Muslim, Hindu, or atheist. It shouldn't matter. And that's why I've become as vocal as I have. So yeah, I'm an atheist. What you gonna do about it?